On the wall, we're going to have to rip our first piece. We also have a couple outlets that are going to fall into line, so we're going to have to cut those out as well to continue all the way up the slot wall. What's nice is using that rigid PVC, we can use a circular saw, table saw, sawzall. You can use an orbital saw. Anything that cuts wood will cut this PVC nicely.
Now the back of each of these panels has a profile here that matches up with the hooks on our hangers. That's another reason you want to make sure that each of your hangers are nice and level so that each one of the hooks engages. The PVC is impervious to moisture, so it's going to stand up well over time in damp situations like basements and garages. Now these do have the ability to expand and contract with temperature and humidity, which is nice because it's hanging on these hooks. It's going to be able to move a little bit, kind of like a floating floor.
All right, now I'm sure you've seen some of these accessories go on this before. It makes it so easy to organize everything. These slide around so you get everything just dialed in exactly where you want it. Once you know where you want everything, you just crank these down. This way you can pull a rake off without having the whole assembly come off the wall. Now they come in a wide variety of different baskets. They have these different trays, thinner ones for like paint brushes, for hand tools, some of the bigger ones for some of your landscaping tools. Here's a new one we haven't used yet. This is a little clip, kind of a neat thing for plans. Also, I think it worked pretty good for the boys' donuts in the morning. They won't lose track of them.
Well, our stone floors are all laid now. They look really, really nice. And the next step is to get all of our joints grouted. What the guys are using here is a sanded grout, meaning that there's a little bit of silica sand added to the mix to give it extra body. That's what you need on 1/8" joints like we have here. It also works for joints up to a 1/2 inch wide. Non-sanded grout will work on joints that are less than 1/8" wide, but either way we're going with the same manufacturer that we used for our medium set mortar and for our crack isolation membrane. Now, there's quite a few colors you can go with to either blend in with the tile or create a little bit of contrast. This one's called Chateau, and it kind of accents the grain in the Medaglia d'Oro. Now you figure a few passes with the sponge to get all the residue off of there, rinsing the sponge between passes. And then if your tile is porous, not a bad idea to seal that before you do the grout. Now that's the way to build a rock solid floor and have it look gorgeous at the same time.
Well, the guys did a gorgeous job laying the tile, grouting, and now that it's all sealed, we want to cover it up to protect it during the rest of the construction. And again, one thing we're really obsessed about is having a nice smooth transition from the kitchen to the great room. So by laying down a piece of our hardwood flooring, you can see it's really going to work out very nicely.
Now, typically with millwork, you choose what you want, you install it, and then you finish it there on site. Well, you can save some time and money by getting it all pre-finished. So we're taking a little road trip and we're going to see how one company handles it. We're headed to just outside Belgrade in central Minnesota, but this is definitely a large-scale operation, 11 acres indoors.
Especially for pre-finishing and things like that, we got to keep the dust off the products.
Well, this is John Beyer, and he's going to give us a tour of the place. But first, you want to kind of give us an idea of what you do here.
Sure. We are considered a value-add two-step distributor of millwork products.
Okay.
So casing, base, stair parts, and pre-hung doors is the bulk of what we do.
And you guys also do finish work, and that's why we're here. You're doing our millwork for us.
We do. Lots of different types of finishing, several different types of stain for raw wood, and then also several different types of paint.
Now, before you can actually go into the finishing, there's a little prep work to be done, right?
Absolutely. Most important part of finishing is prepping the product. If you don't have a good prepared surface, the finished quality isn't going to be what you expect either.
Here in your prep area, you have it divided into a few different areas, right?
We do. We do interior doors, exterior doors, moldings, and then stair components, all a little bit differently. Some of it's automated, some of it's by hand.
So in terms of prep, what exactly are you trying to accomplish at this stage?
With prep, we're trying to take out any defects, any handling marks, scuffs, mars, anything like that that might be on the product that maybe not be terribly apparent in the raw state, but as soon as you put a finish on it, it's going to stand out. We're going to sand it and scuff everything. Everything that's going to be stained or painted, regardless of process, is always going to be scuffed so that it can better accept paint or the stain that it's going to be put on.
Now you guys work with both raw wood and primed materials.
We do. If the product is already pre-primed from the manufacturer, then all we're doing is putting a paint coat on it. We'll also do priming and painting or just staining for raw wood.
Now I see you have a couple machines that handle some automated work for you.
The profile sander is for moldings, and that's basically a wheel with brush and sandpaper on it to get into the contours of the molding.
Okay.
The larger machines are for doors, a wide surface area. We're trying to get rid of cross-grain scratching, so it's very similar brushes on wheels, just on a larger scale and in a random orbit type of a motion to take out the cross-grain.
So it sounds like most of your large stock goes through the machines, but then you still have quite a bit of hand sanding going on, right?
Yes, everything is inspected, and so sometimes the things the machines can't take out is going to have to be taken out by a human. Also, smaller pieces, blocks, stair turnings, things like that are all going to be done by hand.
So once all the prep work's done, then we're off to paint, right?
We are, off to the paint line.
Now I see you have your finish area divided into a couple different stations too.
Yep, depending on what type of finish you choose, if you're using stain or a paint, we have our water-based stain line behind here, and then also the paint line over here.
So what's the process for putting on paint?
So for putting it on paint, we're using a waterborne UV product, so it gets put onto a flat belt and goes through a spray booth where there's 8 spray heads on a carriage that go back and forth and apply the product. After that, it goes into a warm air oven to get rid of the water, and then finally comes under some UV light bulbs that actually cure the product. And at the point that they pass through those UV bulbs, it's 98% cured, and very hard and very dry and ready to ship.
So how long is the process from start to finish?
So for actually applying the paint start to finish, at the time they put it on the belt is about 30 minutes to get through the spray booth, the oven, and then finally come out under the UV bulbs.
Now with a water-based paint, you have very low VOCs, right?
Right, very clean product, waterborne UV product. There isn't any solvents in it, so the only thing going out into the atmosphere, out the stacks, is water vapor.
Now you also recover a lot of the overspray, right?
That's correct. The booth has a recovery system built in, so any overspray that gets onto the belt is squeegeed off and can be mixed with new material and sprayed again. So the only real waste is what gets into the filters and the cleanup at the end of the day.
Now for applying stains, pretty much the same, right?
Very similar process, goes through a booth, the same type of booth for the application of the stain. The difference is then the stain gets 2 coats of clear over the top of it.
Now you guys have quite a few premixed colors to choose from, but you also can basically custom match any color, right?
That's right. We actually, our most popular color is custom color.
Of course.
So whether it be a stain on an easy to stain species like oak, or something that's a little more difficult to stain like a maple or a poplar, we have 2 different stain processes for that. So we'll do customs in those. Paint, we'll do a custom paint. Stained fiberglass, we're working on some stained fiberglass right back here. We can do a custom color for that as well.
I'm just curious why your coat's so messy.
Because I'm the hardest worker in the kitchen.
Well, it must be nice to be able to do this finishing in such a controlled setting.
Yep, that's definitely one of the advantages to pre-finishing with us, a facility like this. You have good lighting, so you can pick up on scratches, mars, anything like that that maybe you might miss in a job site setting. And then also dust, you're free from the hazards of contamination from dust. Weather, exactly. And when you get the product delivered to you, it's ready to install.
Well, we're going to be back to actually check out our doors, so that should be pretty cool. Thanks for showing me around.
Thanks for coming. We look forward to having you back.
Yeah, it's a really great operation. The finished millwork will be on a truck and out at the house pretty soon, so we'll be starting on that next time on Home Time. For Dean and the guys, I'm Miriam Johnson. Thanks for watching.
Visit HomeTime at pbs.org. We got more details about our projects, tips on owning and maintaining a home, and a great glossary of building and remodeling terms. Stop by and see us at pbs.org.
Like you, GMC believes professionals work to a higher standard of craftsmanship, discipline, and innovation.
GMC, proud to lend a helping hand to HomeTime.
Well, you ready for some
Yep.
of this action?
Loosened up a little.
Thank you.
Okay, one thing we're trying to figure out is how high exactly to have our outside light. We have a 10-foot pole that it came with, and we know that a certain amount of it has to go underground to make sure that it's in there good and solid. So Bucky, Dean, and I got together in the front yard, and after a few adjustments, we figured out exactly where we want our light to go, which of course lets us know exactly how deep we need to dig. Now our post is only 3 inches in diameter, but we do want to make sure we have a hole big enough that the post will sit there nice and solid.
It's always kind of good to put a little bit of rock or pea rock in the bottom. Kind of helps with drainage.
Now we're ready to set our post. Just get it right down into the hole here. Bucky will fiddle with it for a little bit, make sure it's right where it needs to be, and then we'll put some concrete in the hole.
So now that we have our post in, next thing we'll do is get our fast setting cement ready. We're going to pour it in dry, plumb up our pole, and then add the water and let the cement do its thing and let it dry.
Okay, everything's pretty well solid, so we're going to finish up our fixture here. This is cast aluminum, but it's going to mimic the look of cast iron. And our shade here is an etched opaque glass, so you won't even notice that we have an energy efficient bulb in there.